Welcome to this demonstration of RestcommONE SMS with external applications. Before we get into the actual demonstration, I'd like to review how RestcommONE supports integration between your application and the telephone network. If we look at this diagram, we'll see that inbound messages and calls work as follows. In our case, a message comes in off of the telephone network and is delivered to RestcommONE, and RestcommONE simply forwards that SMS message onto your application. For our demonstration today, we're going to be using a platform called Zapier to represent this application here on the left-hand side of the picture. For outbound messages, your application or an application that you're working with has to make an API call to RestcommONE and send the contents of the message that you want to be delivered in that API call. RestcommONE will then translate that message to the telephone network's protocol and send it out. For the purposes of today's demonstration, we're going to be using, for outbound, we'll use an application called Postman, which allows you to easily assimilate and put together REST API calls. So again, for our inbound, we'll use an application called Zapier to show how that works. And then for outbound, I'll show you how it works with an application called Postman. Let's get started. You'll see on my screen here, I've got my Zapier Zap set up, and Zaps are just little applications that put together different pieces from different systems on the internet. And so I've got this Zapier Zap here called RestComm Webhook. And all this does is it takes in a message from somewhere on the internet and sends an email to me at my Telestack's email address. So let's look at how we configure this in RestcommONE. I'm going to go ahead and grab the webhook URL from Zapier, and I'm going to come over here to RestcommONE. I'm going to use this phone number here, this 919-299-2549 for our demonstration today. And you'll see here, when I go to configure this number, I've got a section here called SMS. And I've got two options. I can configure it for an RVD application, which is the RestComm Visual Designer, or I can simply forward it to a URL. And what I'm going to do is paste in my Zapier URL to that particular entry. So what I should be able to do now is go ahead and send an SMS inbound message to that number, and then Zapier will forward that message using our Zapier Zap onto my Telestack's email address. Let's see if it all works. Inbound SMS. So I'll go ahead and send that. And we'll flip over here to our browser, and you'll see I immediately got an email from Zapier with the text of that email. Pretty straightforward, right? Zapier is a great platform for, again, putting together lots of different kinds of applications like RestComm without having to write any code. It's a fantastic platform for evaluating and building even commercial-grade applications. And RestcommONE integrates with it natively. So that's inbound. But how do we do outbound? If you remember in our diagram, we said that we had to make an API call from an application to RestComm in order to be able to send an SMS message out. So how does that work? Let's pull up an application that I love to use called Postman. And Postman just simply is a test client for doing API integrations. It's really simple. You just set up all of the request data with the authentication required, and then you make your requests, and it displays all of the results of the API call. Fantastic tool for testing and testing integrations with APIs like RestComm's SMS API. So you'll see here, I've configured a request. I'm going to this RestComm URL for messages, and I'm sending the message. I want to send a message to this phone number here from our 919-299-2549 number. And the message is simply going to say, this is a message from Postman. Let's hope it works. And I've got my messaging client over here that will show us if it works or not. So let's go ahead and hit send. And I should see a message come up, and it does. So if we go back to our initial diagrams and review what we just went through, if you remember, for inbound messages, when I send a message to a phone number configured on RestComm can simply forward that message off to a third-party application. In our case, we used Zapier, and we configured a very simple webhook that sent an email onto my inbox. For outbound, we have to construct an API request, send that to RestcommONE, and then RestcommONE will deliver that out to the telephone network and on to my mobile phone number. And if you remember, we use Postman to simulate what your application would do. So I hope this gives you a really good idea of what's possible with RestComm at a basic level, and starts the gears turning on what you might be able to do and the kinds of applications that you might be able to build on top of RestcommONE. Thank you very much for watching the demonstration. If you have any more questions about RestcommONE, please go to our website, www.telestacks.com, or you can email anyone on our sales team at sales@telestacks.com. And lastly, you can pick up the phone and call us at 1-650-263-6146. Again, thank you for watching, and good luck.